Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here today. We've been making some exciting announcements the last few months about the growth of Sioux Falls. And so today we wanted to bring you up to date on another important event, which is our annual population estimate. I'm Mike Cooper, along with Jeff Schmidt from City Planning. Jeff is going to walk through with you today our new population estimate and give you a little more background on how that methodology works and some of the reasons for the change in the population. And then I'll continue to talk about some of our other demographic information that we can go through with you this morning. So I'm going to turn it over to Jeff Schmidt and talk about our exciting new population estimate for Sioux Falls.
Thank you. Thanks again, everybody, for coming out this morning. As Mike said, the information that we'd sent out earlier is kind of the precursor to today's announcement. Everybody knows that City of Sioux Falls is growing. It continues to grow just like our region. The issue really is, what is our growth rate and how much do we grow? As our city continues to grow, what we've looked at and continue to do is look at all the other trends that are out there. It's been really interesting this end of the year, beginning of 2017, looking at what the employment growth has been in Sioux Falls, what our building permit activity is, what the vacancy rates are. And also what I thought was really interesting too is, while we see all the other activity in Sioux Falls, you do watch the retail sales, you look at the financials, but there's a lot of cultural activities in Sioux Falls that also are big drivers in Sioux Falls. So with all these activities taking place, those are really some of the drivers that bring more and more people into the Sioux Falls area. While we continue to make this announcement for the City of Sioux Falls and what our new population is, I thought it would be interesting to look back where we were for some of the people that are new to Sioux Falls. Back in the year 2000, when Census made their announcements on the City of Sioux Falls, we were at 124,158 people in Sioux Falls. And then in 2010, we were at 153,888. Last year's population estimate by the City of Sioux Falls was 173,300 people, and the new number for January 1st of 2017 is 178,500 people in the City of Sioux Falls. And again, some of those indicators are, we're looking at those building permits, we know what the housing occupancy are, the vacancy rate, as well as you really need to kind of reflect on what our employment is in Sioux Falls to make sure that those numbers really reflect things. So it's really good to see that Sioux Falls continues to grow. That was obvious when we made the announcement. We knew that Sioux Falls was going to be growing, the region was going to grow. The big change was, how much has Sioux Falls grown over the last year? And this 5,200 person increase is a great thing to see. The other thing that you'll see in the information that we passed out is the percentage really isn't that big of a change over historic numbers. It's just that when you have a large population base like we do in Sioux Falls, the percentages at 173 or 175,000, that percentage increase gets you to the 178,500 or 5,000 people increase. So back to Mike and looking at some more of those demographics.
So obviously, as Jeff has gone through with you, the bump from last year at this time to now is pretty significant. And again, that goes back to, we've had 4 record years of building permit activity with new construction across the board, and primarily with the residential construction, with the new records that we're setting for total new housing units, with increase in employment. That's really what's driving some of these new numbers for us. In addition to the population numbers, we have a number of other frequently asked questions about Sioux Falls, and we have those on the charts today as well. And I just want to go through a few of those to kind of compare where we were last year at this time with where we're at in 2017. Our city limits has grown by just under 2 square miles, so now we're almost at 78 square miles of total land area. And we're hoping that that will increase with some more of our annexations that we're working on this year. Sioux Falls continues to be more diverse. Our race makeup with the white population, and this is based on census data, so it's a little bit of a lag. But the chart that we're showing you today is about 82% white of our city population. Last year, it was about 87%, and that really trends with what we'll see for the Sioux Falls School District demographics as well. Our breakdown between male and female stays about the same. Our median age, which is that middle point, bumped up about 1 year, so we're still a relatively young community compared to other places in South Dakota and other major cities around the nation. We're still primarily a community of single-family homes. 60% of people live in single-family homes, and that was down slightly from last year. Again, we've seen those huge numbers of multifamily housing, and we also know that a lot of the younger population coming to Sioux Falls or going into the workforce right now are choosing to live in rental units versus ownership options. And that demographic could potentially change as well going into the future. The median value of owner-occupied housing is just under $158,000. And one of the interesting comparisons of that is that when you look at the other chart, the median household income, which is just below $54,000, that ratio is just over 2.9%. And nationwide, the typical average of the median value home to median income is about 3 to 1. So we're actually a little stronger compared to other places around the country. Now, we know that we have some challenges with affordable housing. We know that we have people in those lower income ranges that we continue to look at opportunities to increase affordable housing. Darren Ketchum is in the audience today, and he leads our community development team along with Mayor Huther. We're continuing to look at options going forward to increase the supply of affordable housing. But overall, you would say that our housing stock is in good condition, and that according to the real estate folks and others, we have a good housing market in Sioux Falls. Our rental vacancy rate, which was from the South Dakota Multi-Housing Association, we're showing you the survey that was done in July, just shows it just below 6%, which is probably a little higher than what we've seen in recent years. Last year, it was about 4.5%. But again, we've seen a huge increase in the number of new units coming online, so to speak. And as those continue to fill up this year and going into next year, we expect that vacancy rate will go back down a little bit. We include information about employment. That has not changed significantly. We get that information from the Development Foundation. They do an annual survey of looking at the employment numbers. What we're showing is the top 10, the 10 largest employers. And again, it reflects the diversity of our local economy with the financial services, the healthcare industries, retail, government. So it's a good mix of public, private, economic sectors that really drive the local economy and our labor force. Our unemployment rate continues to be well below average in terms of the state of South Dakota, the nation. That comes from the South Dakota Department of Labor, so that can change on a monthly basis. And on the chart there, we're showing that's the most recent number that we had was 2.3%. The educational attainment is another major benchmark of a local economy and of a community that's looking at trying to attract new industry, trying to attract that labor force. So for the people over the age of 25, over 90% have a high school degree or more. And again, that's a strong indicator of our community. Those numbers have gone up slightly in terms of the educational attainment since last year at this time. The percentage of persons in poverty and the number in poverty has gone up a little bit from last year. We're showing the poverty rate of just below 14%, and last year it was just over 11%. So again, we continue to look at opportunities for employment, not only for the highly skilled folks that might be attracted to Sioux Falls, but for those service workers or those people that are in the lower skilled jobs. There are job openings, and Mayor Huther will attest to that we have openings for people at all levels of skill in Sioux Falls. And we continue to work on trying to match up those job openings with the people that are able to fill those positions. The Sioux Falls School District does their annual demographic survey. And again, you can see on there, they're showing that their enrollment is just over 65% white. And so that compares to the city overall number of just over 82%. Those numbers with the school district are more current, and the numbers that we have for the city at large are based on census data, which is a survey or estimate. So we expect that Sioux Falls will continue to be more diverse going forward. And that's another area that we're aware of, that we're reaching out to the minority communities for employment opportunities, to make them more aware of local government. If they want to serve on a citizen board, those kind of opportunities that we want to make sure everybody has equal access and that they're aware of what those might be.